Okay, awesome.
Hi, everybody. Anina and I are here
Hello.
together today, and we're very excited.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
excited to be back with Honey Golden. It's always a blast, and she always has amazing information to share. So today, I think we're going to touch on some super interesting topics. We want to just take a step back and again just look at the whole Trump situation, what happened there, timelines, and a whole bunch of other things. How the blocks are putting or fitting together, how the puzzle pieces are fitting together.
Mhm.
So Honey and I was just talking offline now about, again, the Trump event being a very big marker and event, and how some people are kind of not quite understanding what is this. If the Whites were aware this was happening, did they plan it? And, you know, is it just, some people even think it's a psyop. And, we're just going to unpack that subject a little bit further, and then we're going to jump into timelines. So Honey, maybe
Mhm.
you kick off and let us know what you see.
Yeah. So I think it's really important for everybody to realize and to know, and a lot of people know this, but everything that's happening inside of you is what you're experiencing outside of you. So if you're not healing all the traumas that you've been through, then you're going to be expecting the outside to fix it for you. But you have to fix it inside before the outside reflects the beauty that you want it to. Other people are not in control of your world. You are. So that's important that you remember that. And then as far as parallels go, there are so many parallels. You could imagine it as the pages of a book that never ends. It just keeps getting bigger. So we're really like going into a time where that's really spread out. And think about it as some people are just going to get there a little slower. And some people, if they choose not to heal, they will get there without their body and they will basically go to the 3D earth and they won't be here. So either they'll choose to exit in this reality that Anina and I are in, that we notice, because we're all consciousness. So we're all floating around in the universe, communicating with each other about what we see. We're creating everything in front of us. So this trailer is created from my mind, okay, that I'm in. This is my little office. So this is created from me. And it was showed up for me because my soul brought it in because I asked for it. So remembering that you're in control is really important, because if you don't think you're in control and you think the outside is in control, then you're never going to be happy because you'll never have what you want.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like the main thing to remember. As far as what happened with Trump, that was a huge shift. And we have the looking glass. So let's say this is the looking glass, right? And we had a 4D version, fourth density version, that came from the tall whites and the more like chaotic ETs that were not good to humanity. They were living off the energy that humanity was generating out of fear. And they were doing it by using fourth density technology that humanity was unaware of.
And
Okay.
this is the one that was in CERN, right? The one that was,
I think it
oh,
existed before CERN.
okay.
So the looking glass, the Simpsons are a big marker of the looking glass. So if you look at the Simpsons, they said that Donald Trump would be passed away,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the old looking glass technology. And that, I want to say that's like 10 years old, that actual episode when they put it out. So when
Mm.
he did not pass away, because it was all a white hat off, that changed the timeline. So that is the 5D Earth timeline.
Mm.
So we're on that timeline now. Some people will choose not to believe it, and they will stay in the 3D Earth timeline, and they will buy into misery.
Yeah.
And that is because they have wounds inside of them and traumas inside of them that they are not willing to heal. So we are responsible for ourselves and our own experience. And not a lot of people, like a lot of people are getting that and they're really moving forward that way and they're doing all their work. They're going inside of their own psyche and they're healing. And then a lot of people are not. So especially if you have a soul that's not ready or a human part of you that's not ready. So the inner child, the human consciousness may feel too abused and it's not willing to heal. So that means you'll ascend, you know, those people will ascend in a different way. But the people in the 5D are going to ascend in the body.
Yeah, sorry, hold that thought. It's important. But I do see that in a lot of people, it's like they can't trust anything good. You know, they've been hoodwinked so many times, if you will, in different lifetimes. They've been traumatized and all these things that they're just not willing to trust that there can be a good outcome. So they don't believe it.
Yeah.
And it's a very slippery path. And some people actually I see oscillate like a little bit like this. Then they're on this side of the line, then they're on that side of the line. And at some point they're going to have to make a decision. Are they seeing a positive future, or are they just not going to trust it because they've been manipulated too many times in the past and they can't believe that something good is on the horizon?
Right. So we're at the point where we're in the window that's wide open. So think of the ascension window as an actual window. Okay. So the window is wide open right now to choose whether you're going to ascend or not in your body. Everybody's going to ascend, but will they ascend in their body or not is up to you. It's up to the person. So that window will be open wide probably through next spring. So until, you know, basically it'll stay open wide until everybody has their birth money from their birth certificate. They've had a chance to breathe a little bit. They've had a chance to heal a little bit. And they can see that the world is starting to change. Now, after that, once all that stuff's out there for a few months, the window will start to narrow. So you'll have to heal in order to get through that. You'll need to work on your inner world. And there'll be lots and lots of opportunities for that. There's also a med bed for that.
But we'll be up by then?
It'll be up before the window closes, for sure. I feel like the first med beds, I don't know if they'll roll them all out at once, but the first one will be about healing the body. The psychiatric, I'll just call it med bed. I feel like that'll come out maybe a couple months after. I feel like there's going to be a barrage of healing the body, pretty much. And you may have all three at once, depending on your area, you know, because they're all out there. They're all done. So it really just depends on you. It depends on your local area, when they roll them out, how they roll them out. We're flipping timelines so quickly that, you know, you don't know for sure what it's going to look like. But all the stuff is coming. All the technology is coming. And you can see that it's starting to happen. And Japan just switched their money over. So I just got notice of that this morning from a video. So things, you know, Zimbabwe switched their money over, Japan switched their money over. there are things that are trading that were never trading before. I want to say that's the Iraqi dinar, but there's
Yeah.
things that are showing us that everything's changing. And we need to be open to wanting good change versus expecting crappy change. Because basically the split that between those two ideas is the choice of whether you're going to stay on the 3D or you're going to move into the 5D.
I
So
think this is a really difficult thing for people to wrap their head around. They just cannot believe that they can be responsible for the
it's
future.
basic law of attraction information. The universe is going to give you what you want. And what you want is how you're vibrating. What energy are you putting out into the world? So if you're speaking through all your wounds, all the things that have caused you pain, and you're hanging on to those like a cloak of misery, and you're putting them out, then you're not going anywhere. You know, now that could change over the next few months as things actually change and people see that, but it's up to them. They have to choose. Like some people, just like some souls, were so traumatized and had so many distortions that they chose not to be here. They chose not to basically be a soul anymore. They chose to go back into oneness and to dissipate into pure energy, to be reborn in a completely different way. So that has already happened. That happened a while ago. And that's what allowed all this healing to happen, to allow what happened with Trump to happen. Everything is in, a building way, like it happens in sequence. So humanity healed their, they had an agreement to be suppressed. And this happened so many thousands of years ago. And they broke that agreement. And the divine feminine and the divine masculine healed themselves from that suppression. And a lot of us have gone through a lot of health stuff since that happened. And then almost immediately after that, all this stuff started in the politics because we created space for it to happen. So remembering that we're finally ready. And I put out an abundance meditation yesterday because my higher self said they need it so that we can bring in the RV. So we need to release the angst and the negative ideas about something so that we can bring in the positive, because they can't exist in the same body forever. So like the people that are going back and forth all the time, they're basically releasing their programming as they go. And when they release a little bit, all of a sudden they're positive again. And then they're, more of it comes up and they're negative again. So people like that, they've chosen to go forward. They're just in the process of healing. But somebody who is like a negative Nelly all the time and thinks that everything in the world is against them, they're creating it. And it's time for us to be responsible for ourselves. That's, part of it. And we never left the heavenly area that we were in. Our consciousness just believes that we did. So the reason that everybody has these really big souls here on Earth is to help us basically take the hand of the human consciousness and help us rise. So think of it as somebody who is like a drowning victim, and a grown-up came in, like a child was a drowning victim. A grown-up came in and is holding the hand of that child and bringing it to the surface. That's where we're at right now.
what a time to be alive, right?
Yeah,
Let's unpack a little bit more the looking glass. So you said there was
sure.
a negative looking glass, an older looking glass that was put, well, I don't know if it was here, or I guess it doesn't matter if it's here on the planet, but it was brought in by the negative ETs, the tall whites, some of them more negatively inclined, because not all the tall whites are negative and not all of them are
No,
positive.
tall grays, the tall grays.
Sorry, the tall grays. And then there's a positive looking glass, a 5D looking glass. Can we
Yeah.
unpack that a little bit more?
Yeah. So, and I talked to Martin about this. Martin, oh, my brain just went blank.
Brodell?
Anyway, yes,
Martin
Brodell.
Brodell. Yeah, you guys have
Yes.
been doing some fun ones.
So he has a source as well, but we talked about it. But the way I see it is there was a 4D looking glass created by the tall grays, and they had input from other ETs and help from, you know, the what do you call it? The Black Ops military. But basically they created this looking glass, and I think that they would use psychic people to tap in. And they could only get to the 4D. So the 4D at the bottom of it, because imagine everything is in layers. So at the bottom layer, the 4D is chaos. But it also has no veil. So they know things that are happening all over the place. They can see it all. So they would get psychics to tap in and to help this looking glass work. Probably against their will.
Maybe we need to unpack that a little, because looking glass is basically a technology that can look into the future, but it can also bring together the right circumstances to go into a certain timeline, right? Because there's various possibilities for the future.
It doesn't bring it in. It just helps them put out the propaganda that they would need to bring it in.
For the people.
So basically, time doesn't exist. So when they were up in the fourth density looking through the multiverse, they could pick and choose which negative timeline they would want people to be on. So then they would create the propaganda that would tell the human mind.
Like a Nostradamus, the world's going to come to an end or whatever.
Right. They would tell the human mind to take us there. Okay. So that's over. That's not, you know, happening anymore. That looking glass is gone, and it can't see past the 4D. So the fourth density. But now we have a fifth density looking glass. And that's from the ETs. So you're looking at Pleiadian technology. And the Pleiadians, the Andromedans, you know, many ETs are helping things elevate here. And we are actually elevating, like these pages are extremely spread out, the parallels, unless we're going through a big event. And we definitely felt the more negative parallels, the people that are just in chaos through the last couple of weeks, because they were closer to us. So we all became sandwiched to experience this event. But once that happened, timelines shifted again. So Jimmy Carter died again. He died a year or two ago already. I remember because my husband actually really liked him because he was helping build houses for people. Richard Simmons died again. And you can find, I mean, people have found that he died in 2012, I think it was. But then when you go into the article, he just died.
Wow. It's like a Mandela effect all over.
Yeah, the Mandela effect it was a huge echo of Mandela effects that happened. You have to realize that we're in a learning game. So things can be switched around, things can be changed, And the people that are paying attention to that and realize that we just went through like an echo, they're the big souls. So they're the ones that are recognizing that. But the timeline shift was all over social media. So there are a lot of awakened souls right now. And that triggered it. So that basically that was seen in the higher looking glass, in the 5D looking glass, that Trump would survive. But it was also created by the white hats. That was a scenario that was created. And look at all the stuff that they're getting out of it. They're able to dismantle the 3-letter agencies, all those alphabet agencies. That's starting. They're exposing so many things because they did that. They created that. Yeah.
So when you say, let's backtrack a little bit, the white hats created, did they set up that event? Did they set it up, or did they see what the cabal was planning and they let it happen because they knew?
They set it up. They set it up. And I don't actually feel that anybody passed away during that event. And maybe on some timelines, someone did pass away in that event. But in the 5D timeline, nobody passed away. But it needed to be seen that somebody did.
Yeah.
By the public. So that it has more impact. But just like a lot of celebrities passed away, the people that supposedly passed away during that did not pass away either. And that comes from my higher self when I ask. Yep.
But I think, because it's such a difficult concept for people to grasp, like for the normies, the ones that are asleep, they need to fully believe that it was real and it happened, right?
Some do.
Because
some do.
Understand.
That might be their awakening. Maybe we're here, and maybe they're down here.
Yeah.
And they're still awakening, but they're going to awaken in a slower way. So eventually the book will all come back together. And letting them just awaken in whatever way is good for them is fine. But really, if we're trying to push them to awaken in the way that we're awakened, not only are we hurting their psyche, we're also trying to get them to reflect us. So we're not allowing them to just be themselves.
Yeah.
So
because unfortunately,
yeah,
for some people, there is the danger that they say, oh, this was just another elaborate psyop and it's all planned and they're all in the same club and, they're all New World Order with the Trump, whatever. It's all just New World Order. And so because they cannot fathom what has really happened, they actually need to believe that he almost got killed. It's important that they believe that so they know how far the cabal is willing to go. Because let's face it, there's been many attempts on his life, just not public, right?
Yeah. And for some that's needed. Yeah, for some that's needed. But for most that are really on the forefront of the awakening, we don't need that at all. It really just depends.
I'm talking about that lower level.
Yeah.
Like otherwise they're going to get into it was just another psyop. We've been had yet again. What a good show. It's like, whatever, it's all going to go to shit. And, we better get our guns ready and be prepared to fight. And like, guys, as I said to Honey before, before we started, I like to not just preach to the converted. I like to see who are in the other audience groups that are not where we are, because otherwise you don't get a full picture of the mass consciousness. So I like to see the different levels, because if I can help uplift the others a little bit, then we're all gonna, come together faster. And I am on these WhatsApp groups that people have added me to, that there's kind of a lower consciousness there, but they are awake, and they're awake to the whole COVID thing and all the other stuff. financial system. But they think it's all one big club. Trump is part of that club. It's just another elaborate psyop, and New World Order incoming. Like they just think, here it is, it's coming.
So some of them will get their wish because they're putting that out there as their wish.
Yeah.
They're vibrating that energy. Some of them will awaken, and it's up to them. Either way, they will ascend. All consciousness will ascend into the new universe. But it's up to us how we want to ascend. So if they choose to keep all their pain and programming, then they will basically go with the old earth, not into the new earth, and they will ascend without their body. And really we don't need to be attached to whatever they're doing. Allow them to do whatever is best for them. Maybe the healing is going to be too hard, and they need to be able to let go of it during the death process, because that's how everybody's ascended in the past.
So will they also escape the wheel of karma? Is it coming to an end for everyone or not for everyone?
Yeah. Yep. It's coming to an end for everyone. So everyone is going into the new universe. We're in it now, but everybody will go into realizing where we are, either by passing away or by healing while we're here. Healing while we're here is definitely more work. So it's easier to pass away and just go be
But then
ascended.
they're going to be born again as a baby, right?
If they want to be, they can choose to go be an ET.
Or they're just going to go back to the higher self, wherever.
Yeah. Some may go and rest for a while. Some may come back, quickly as a baby because they want to. It all depends on what they, what kind of contracts, what plan they created before they got here. Because if time doesn't exist, then you also know the outcome. So death is not an ending. And that was a big psyop for humanity. To create death as a huge, nasty, scary, horrible, painful thing. When actually it's more of a celebration, which is why the Aborigines come together. They have a party, and whoever's leaving, they go off, during the party, and they pass away on their own. So they got to celebrate their life, and then they transition out of it. Because it's a vehicle. It's an organic vehicle that we're in, but it's still a vehicle. Yeah.
It's the end of the game, not the end of the player. The player will get to play another game.
And I think that's the thing, they've really kept humanity's consciousness in a box with all these ideas. And the human consciousness is younger. It's also very beautiful and innocent, and it was very vulnerable to a lot of those ideas. So you guys are way more powerful than you think you are.
But I think the human consciousness is a little bit naive, because it's kind of a purity and an innocence there, actually, and that's why we've been fooled so many times, because we just can't believe anyone can be that evil, right? Or beings. So that's why humanity has been fooled so many times, and there are people, like we said, who can't recover from that. They're just so traumatized by it that they can't see a bright future,
But there is a bright future, and a lot of people are seeing it. Where we go one, we go all. We are all ascending, but the ending is not for everyone too. So knowing those two things, it's very simple. We're all ascending, whether we have an ascension in the body or not, and we're the ending of the movie is the choice. Are you going to ascend in your body or not?
Yeah.
You know, and neither one of them is bad.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think it's a lot more fun discussing uh, afterwards. Wow, that was quite the movie, right? Remember that,
Yeah.
remember that. Personally, I'm all for that timeline.
Right. And a lot of us will stay in our bodies, and our bodies are upgrading anyway, you know. We will be in our bodies, we will be having fun, we will be enjoying the fifth density, and we will not have a veil. So the veil right now only exists in the human mind. That's why we're starting to see ETs through the corners of our eyes, why people are seeing fairies. You know, that's why all that stuff is happening, because it's like a slow allowing that our mind is doing to see who we really are. Now, somebody who's really feeling negative, they're probably seeing demons and stuff like that, because those are shadows that they haven't healed. Those are parallel lives that they're not healing, and they're coming to get healed, and they're seeing them and they're freaking out and they're not healing it. They're pushing them away again.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody's going through a slightly different experience right now.
So at that point, I guess all of the DNA will be activated, and that is what will allow the gifts to come through, right? The telepathy, the clairvoyance, claircognizance, all of these telekinesis.
Yeah. And it is activated now. It's mostly we haven't turned the light switch on yet. So like the light switch lives here. And once we're ready, once our consciousness is ready, then it flips on. And it'll be one gift at a time. Like your strongest gift will be the one that comes through first. But it's getting things out of the way, just like your closet. Like if you only have room for either summer or winter clothing in your closet and you try to put it all in there, until you remove the winter clothing, if it's summer, you're not going to have room to buy another outfit. That other outfit is one of your gifts.
Mm-hmm.
So it's removing the things that are cluttering up your mind. So it's programming, and things have to be this way or it won't work out. I'm so freaked out about it, you know, that kind of thing. And assuming we know all the ways that things should unfold instead of letting them unfold in our highest good.
Now, tomorrow is a very interesting day. I think we'll try and get this out today, still,
Yeah.
the 24th of July. Tomorrow is a very interesting day. I just caught this now that on July 25th, Sirius, the dog star, rises with the sun. This day is observed as a day free of time in the 13-moon calendar, the Mayan calendar, I guess. It is a day of reverence and cultural appreciation for the concept time is art. So it's a day out of time, the culmination of the 13-year moon calendar year, originating from the Mayan science of time.
Yeah. So it will be a big day. It is an energetic switch day. So remember, so let's call this the group of souls that live in the astral plane. And they're the players. Okay. So Anina and I were playing this game, this learning game. So we're up here every night. Okay. And we're participating. This is the sun. Okay. So here's your sun. So all this energy is being pushed through this, and the ETs are helping with that. And that energy from the sun is upgrading the body and pushing out all the programming. So this day right here is almost like it's like a universal energetic reset day, a day out of time. Because time doesn't really exist, but they're recognizing that the Mayan calendar recognizes that. And when I asked the souls, so Anina brought it up during our pre, video discussion. And I asked the souls, are you aware of that? And they're like, of course we are. And we're going to use it. So they're going to use that to help things shift more. So look for big energy on that day, I would say.
So I guess it will be kind of a subtle shift if you don't pay attention. But if
It
you pay attention,
depends. We could see a lot in the outside world as well, but I don't predict those things anymore because it's up to the souls to decide. And it's also, when will humanity receive it? So sometimes the souls are pushing the energy for like a week. The Schumann resonance is going back and forth and pushing, pushing, pushing. And then all of a sudden something happens, like the dam breaks. And humanity's like, okay, and they let it happen. So it's like, I would liken this to kind of like a preschool. So humanity's like in a very preschool type setting. And there's all these older kids that are trying to get the preschoolers to understand what's happening. And then they finally get it, because it's a big concept. They finally get it and they're like, okay, we'll play with the green blocks today, just like you're asking us to. And we will build a fort together instead of we're going to just be in chaos today. So it's kind of, this whole experience is kind of like herding cats, really, honestly.
Absolutely. So many moving parts that have to come together.
Yeah, it's wild. So, but just enjoy it because we're getting there and we're making it, and things are rolling so much faster now because those agreements of suppression are gone. So when that happened, it was like allowing all the good stuff to come in. Yeah. And you have to remember, we're all consciousness. Everything around us, including our body, is something that we helped create. And if you go into town or if you're in a city, then you helped create it with the other people that are there.
Time is definitely feeling a bit funky right now.
Oh, yeah.
It either goes very fast or sometimes it goes slow. And today's also just been, it's like, what is happening to the clock? I'm not getting through my things today. And then it's the next thing and the next appointment and the next Zoom. And it's like, what is happening with the time? There's just not enough of it today.
Yeah.
Generally, it feels like it's speeded up, but there has been some days where it's just like I look at my watch and it's like it feels like 3 hours have passed and it's only half an hour on the clock.
It depends on the energy, and I think it's also allowing us to figure out that time doesn't exist. It's like a slow way to allow the mind to let go of time. Just like seeing ETs from the corner of your eye is a slow way of saying, eventually I'm going to see you in front of me. So everything is, it's all like steps.
I've definitely been, I've never been very good with time. It's like, I feel like sometimes I'm just floating somewhere and I'm in my mind and my head, and then I lose track of time. And then, as much as I want to be there on time, want to be there, and then sometimes it's like, it's almost like I'm not used to this clock thing.
No, and that's a good way to be, because we're not going to be using it in the future.
I can't wait.
Yeah, me too, because we get our time screwed up, and you're like, oh, I thought we were meeting now. No. And that is part of what we're doing. Like, we're letting go of time. It was a construct that was really complicated to create, I think, for humanity, because humanity needed more of a structure. because we were in the third density. And this was an
Mm.
extremely hard learning game, an extremely hard school, as you would call it.
Yeah.
And we're not doing things that way anymore. So we're letting go of it. But elevating the human consciousness is the main goal for the universe right now.
Mm.
Because the whole universe is ascending and humanity is going with the universe. So basically, they're the ones that are in the process because they agreed to go so low,
Mm. And I
you know.
think people really need to grasp the fact that it's happening as fast as we want it to happen. Really,
Right.
we're the ones that are creating the building blocks for the future in every moment, in every choice we
Mhm.
make, every decision, every thought, every action, negative, positive, forward, backwards. We creating that effort ourselves, and we must stop thinking that it's something happening to us instead
Right.
of us being absolutely a participant in making this happen and affecting how quickly or slowly it actually happens.
Mhm. Exactly. Yeah, we're in charge basically. So if, you're in charge of your own world, everything you see in your house and your car and, how you experience the world and whether you're happy or sad, you're in charge of that. And then as a collective, we're in charge of creating things that we do together, like cities and um, an experience on an airplane if there's more than one human and they're not just NPCs, that kind of thing. And being aware of that, knowing that we have some things we do together, like the color of the sky, and some things that we do by ourselves, and knowing that the agreements have ended for all of the veil to go away. It's just our bodies catching up to that agreement because we don't want, it's just like, okay, I'm going to add a new motor to my car, or I'm going to convert my car to water, and it's going to burn water versus gas. It's a process. We don't do it overnight because if you do it overnight, then you're going to hurt the brain because it has so many programs in it, just like a computer that have created a way that things work. So those ways need to be changed as we go, and eventually you'll be running on water versus gas.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I want to bring something else up again. You're probably going to say, not a name again, Anina. The big solar flash. I
Oh,
still see daily people channeling that this is, around the corner. There's a big flash, 3 days of darkness, but it's going to be beautiful, but it is still coming. I know that you are a believer that we currently actually already going through this flash bit by bit, not like one big event. Um, so you don't think that will be at the ascension point, that big flash, the three
no,
days of darkness. We will
it's an
go
old
into
timeline.
the.
It's an
So,
old timeline. And
without
I,
pointing
I
fingers.
predicted that timeline too, like 2 years ago. Well, I predicted that it would start in the spring of 2023, that we would have that big flash. And then that was bypassed because the flash would have actually caused a lot of chaos and a lot more people's lives would have been lost because people weren't ready. They weren't ready for
Mm,
the impact of that. So instead, we've been getting it over and over and over with the Schumann resonance, like every other day is some kind of big, huge energy release.
mm.
But they probably are just on a little bit slower timeline,
So
you
if
know.
that person is channeling, let's say, the angels who are saying this event is coming, what is actually happening there? Are the
It
angels also
really
on a low
depends on
timeline?
them, how much of the ego is involved in the channeling. Um, where are they at? Do they really understand how the universe works? at this point, how much inner work have they done? And maybe they will experience, like maybe one of those big Schumann resonance experiences that we think is just, oh, it's another big energy surge. And we're walking around and feeling fine. Maybe they will experience it as a solar flash, and they will be asleep in their beds or on the side of the road asleep because they can't function because that solar activity is too much. And they will experience it as a flash, whereas we will be like, oh, just another big surge. We're fine.
Maybe
So it
will be
really
a big one,
depends
but
on the person.
yeah, maybe because we've been prepared for this, we've had these little flashes coming through now for a few years now, preparing our body and getting it more ready. Maybe there will be a big one, but it won't knock everything out. It will
Yeah.
just be like, okay, geez, I'm feeling a lot of aches and pains and it's not comfortable, but it's not going to like knock you out for 3 days kind of thing.
Right. But maybe some people will,
Yeah.
you know, so maybe the group that they're speaking to, they're going to have 3 days of sleep.
Is that maybe another timeline that we're
That's
not
another
going
timeline.
to be
Yeah.
seeing? Yeah.
I don't feel like we're going to see that. But the timelines are going to separate more and more as we go again. And then that window will stay open. At this point, I've been getting the window will be open till about the very end or very beginning of 2027. So like right about when 2027 starts, the window closes. And that gives everybody a chance in the slower timelines to catch up, basically.
Yeah.
And they may experience completely different things. They may be believing that Richard Simmons only died once, you know? So it's just up to them. Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
It's kind of crazy and it's kind of complicated, but we have to continue to talk about these things that we can grasp and fully understand and embody this so that we can actively choose that, you know, higher timeline that we want to bring
and it's all about internal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the whole we spoke about, it's kind of now not related to where we are not right now in the conversation, but we spoke before we went on about the Biden show and the fact that this is kind of a coup attempt. They had to remove him. I actually heard somewhere, and I'd like to hear what your thoughts on this. They said the whole CrowdStrike thing has to do with taking out a certain AI called Azure, which was running the Biden AI.
Yeah. Somebody sent me that. I was like, no. So I don't get that that's what's actually happening, at least not in our timeline. So what is happening is that's an actor.
Yeah.
Maybe in some of the other timelines, he appears more as a robot and they don't have as much control. But right now, I feel like in this timeline, everybody that has been on the negative side has been arrested. Everything's done. There's nothing in the way of the switchover anymore.
There's not going to be any spanner in the works. Whatever you see now is part of the movie, right? To bring more disclosure, because these things, like little seeds, will open up and it's like blossoms of disclosure everywhere right now.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly like that. Or like a flower that opens up and there's like 100 petals, you know, and every one of them is a piece of disclosure. It's perfectly described as a field of flowers because there's all these little aspects that now they say that there's a coup, you know, and he doesn't even aware that he's been taken out of the presidential race. That opens up
The White Hats were
all of
in
this
control of that
stuff.
actor anyway, right? So
Oh yeah, the White Hats are in control, but they created that scenario. So
yeah,
they had him get off of a plane, the actor Biden, and they had a reporter ask the question, how do you feel since you're not in the presidential race anymore? And Biden says, what? And then walks away and looks all confused. So, that's just
I
another
missed that
opening.
one.
Oh, it's hilarious. But there's just another opening for them to bring out more and more information and to say who's hiding behind him.
Hmm.
What are they doing to him? He's a puppet and they're doing all this nasty stuff behind him. So it basically just opens a doorway.
Yeah.
And
And now
that's what they're doing all over the place.
you've got the whole Kamala door opening because now people are saying, oh shit, is she going to be in charge? And now, like, oh, she's not actually a citizen, she's an anchor baby. And, or she, maybe she's a citizen, but she wasn't born. I don't know how it works, but you're an anchor
Her
baby.
her parents were not citizens. They were
Yeah.
in college here.
Mm.
So they weren't, she's not a citizen from citizens, basically. So she's what's called an anchor baby, which means the
Yeah.
first one born in the US, which is you're not eligible to be president if you're in that position.
Yeah.
And
But
they've
then
made
that
her
whole
look
can of worms
so
will,
dingy.
yeah. And now people are starting to dig into her background and how she rose
Mhm.
to the top. And, so again, disclosure. And then when they're done with
Yeah.
Kamala, it's going to be, okay, who's it going to be now? Big Mike? Well, there's a lot coming where that came from. So the whole Big Mike discussion is going to open up,
Yeah. Just let it unfold, you guys. Like, let it unfold. Things are moving fast now. And think of it as when somebody grabs a flower and they're like, will they love me? Do they love me? Do they love me not? It's basically every petal that they're picking is a new piece of disclosure that is being shown to the public. And we're going to have a pretty massive switchover. Like, Trump has already announced new technology in one of his speeches. New tech is coming out. He's doing things with Zelensky, the actor, and Netanyahu. Like, he's already taking over in the eyes of the public as a president again.
Yeah.
So things are happening and the wheels are turning. Just let them turn and keep working on you and keep yourself happy and enjoy this movie. Like, when you watch a movie on the television, you just watch it unfold. Let it just unfold and don't get wrapped up in it emotionally.
Yeah. Very important to develop a sense of neutrality where you're not pulled in different directions and, oh no, I think I've been had. Ooh, that's good news. So you kind of, just be neutral, just observe all these things coming past you, just watch and observe. And don't get, emotionally polarized in any way. This is how we're going to get through this, and because that only distracts you as well. It serves no purpose because you don't have any control over those things anyway. The only thing you can have control over is your inner world and how ready you are for the future that has been prophesied for thousands of years. The new earth is, the golden age. It's been talked about. So, and we are at that doorstep.
We are, and we will see it in our lifetime. So
yeah, that was going to be another question, because some people are saying, oh, in 100 years, we're going to see change, but really only in 100 years time, or like, are we really going to have like peace on earth? And I don't feel like it's going to be that long.
No, I get it's 2030, so it'll come sometime in 2030. But when you think about when the window closes at the beginning of 2027, things are going to be changing rapidly up until 2030. And that's for all the higher timelines is 2030. And then How do you experience the golden age, though, will be up to you. Maybe you're still letting go of programming. Maybe you chose to ascend, but you're more in the middle of the book than at the beginning of the book. So your experience may be a little slower, but you will still be in a beautiful, happy place where you continue to elevate. So wherever you're at, be happy with it, because you're either going to ascend in a very fast way or a very, a more slower way, depending on you. You make the choices.
Mhm.
And that's the ultimate sovereignty, which is what we're moving back into.
Mhm. Yeah, things
Mhm.
are not happening to us anymore. We're
Mhm.
determining that future. And you have to believe it, you've got to feel it, you've wholeheartedly got to focus on that, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's such a great time to be alive right now. And even if you've chosen to pass over at this point, you're getting to watch it all. And I know I've been getting, people have been asking about their loved ones and how they're doing, and they're excited. They're watching. They're excited. They don't have the programming of their body anymore. So they're free and they can see all the beautiful things that are occurring here.
They're rooting for
So,
us, right?
yeah, absolutely.
Mm, beautiful. I just want to say, I think you're doing an amazing job. Just,
Oh, thank
you
you.
know, all the content is so uplifting and just really taking time to help people fully understand and embody this time that we're in, and to make sure we stay in a positive timeline, you know. And I think
Yeah,
that's so important, because there's so many people that just, yeah, let's just say, I don't feel like it's a wave of positivity, and you are a wave of positivity. And for everyone that's watching, go and check out Honey's abundance meditation. It's on YouTube, right?
mm.
Or Rumble as well.
It's on, I probably will put it on Rumble, but it's on YouTube and it's just Honey C. Golden. So if you look up my name, you're going to find my channel. My website is the same. Everything's the same. So I just use my name for everything.
Yeah,
Um,
all the links will be below, but go and check out
mhm.
that meditation, because I think it's going to help that wave of positivity. You're going to be able to catch that
Yeah,
wave and surf it all the way down to the beach. That's the aim.
yeah. My higher self was like, I had shared that with my groups because I have a lot of groups and we work on consciousness and healing and stuff. But my higher self was like, put that out on YouTube, get that out there, because basically what we're releasing is anything that is a shadow from your soul that's holding back the RV and the abundance, anything from your genetic line and anything from your inner child. So we're going through and just letting go of all the stuff that we've been carrying that isn't in our highest good when it comes to abundance. And I
Wonderful.
was like super hyper about getting it out once I was told, get it out
Amazing.
there. Yeah.
And for those that don't hold foreign currency, they can still be excited by the RV, right?
Oh, yeah. Because the birth money, or what people call the straw man, that's
Mm.
coming to everybody. So everybody will have an income that comes from the money that was created to be stolen from them. But guess what? Now it's going to go back to you. And I do think that it will be, depending on whether you're retired or not, it will be coming to you in smaller increments. But that's a pretty large increment for most people. And then also your home and your cars can be purchased out of that money. And that's what the banks are going to exist for. They've been doing it already. So what they're going to be doing it is above board and saying, okay, well, you want this car, so let's go ahead and do that. And they will basically pull it from your straw man account and help
Yeah,
you pay for that car.
and some people are doing it now already. There
Yeah.
is bills of exchange. It's in our constitution, all of the constitutions, that is a legal tender. Bills of exchange allows you to endorse a bill, send it off. That can be for a new car, and it gets sent to the Treasury, and they authorize for it to be paid out from your birth bond.
Mhm.
And that's what it is. People need to understand there's enough abundance and money and everything on this earth. There's literally no scarcity. They created this debt system to suppress us and to make us work like slaves, but it
Mhm.
actually doesn't exist, because
Right.
we all work millions and there is so much abundance on this planet. So people just need to
So
wrap
much.
their head around that.
Mhm. And all the debt will go away. So unless you owe your brother money for buying something,
Mm.
and you've had an agreement with a family member or maybe somebody who's not a bank to pay something off, all the rest of it goes away. So if you
Yeah,
have a car payment through the bank or a house payment through the bank or a credit card, all those things are going away, and that's called the Jubilee. So that will be included in the switchover.
yeah. Debt
Yeah.
jubilee. It's gonna happen.
Mhm. It's
Mhm.
exciting. I'm excited.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's going to be
that
good.
was awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, honey.
Thank you. Have a beautiful day, everybody.
Yeah, everyone, keep your vibes high. We'll see you again soon. Sending you lots of love.
Yes, lots of love. We have this. We've
We've
got it.
got this.
Yes. Okay.